Okay, hey, welcome. Shabbat shalom to everybody again, because we started and I had forgotten to push the go live. Sorry, guys, but we were just like starting and talking and everybody joining in and
Hi to Al and Irene in Canada, and Connie and Michael in Canada, and Luann in Arizona, and Linda in Dallas, who's joining us for Sukkot. There we
and
go.
Eddie and Tammy have joined us too,
Eddie and Tammy from Florida,
and everybody that's not in the chat, but we say
Michael from Plainview.
right. So shalom, shalom. And it is great to be with you. And yeah, I had background music going on, and I just like, yeah. Sandy's like, did you start the stream? I started the stream early, and then Joy said she was double checking and couldn't get online.
Because he didn't start the stream.
And then, yeah, it's my bad, but it's all good. It looked like it was all good. Okay, yeah, so it's great to be here with you all, and we have a Torah portion to dig into here, and I'm excited about it, digging some things out, and I just like it. Every time we do a Torah portion, there's just another layer to pull, and another way to look at it, and so I pray that it'll be good for everybody as well. Sometimes I have more fun. I think I have more fun studying it out than even our midrash.
Well,
just saying, but our midrashes are great too. But yeah. I know
think
they
our
are.
midrashes are great. I love when everybody talks.
Yeah, kind of brings things out.
So, yeah, and we are missing a very, very precious part of our congregation, as Joe Cameron did pass away this last week, and Tammy put in here, what a Torah portion for Joe to go home with. She entered into her land.
She entered in on 9/11, so we'll never forget that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but let's open up with prayer, and Jackie, since you were the one that graced us just now.
Well, we won't go there. Okay.
Would you open us up in prayer?
Happy to be here.
We are too.
Thank you, Father, that you're all consuming, that you're all we want, that you are the one that controls and makes love to people and who is mighty in the heavens and you're mighty on the earth. And Father, we thank you that Joe has gone on with you. She's in a much better place, much happier, and she's free of everything, Father. And we thank you. Another day is coming for all of us, but we're all coming to you sometime, Father, if you don't come to us first. We're just so blessed because we know you. We know who you are. We know your power. You are the great I am. You are the one that walks on the waters. You are the one that heals and sets free. We declare your victory as we go every day, and we declare you for this place and for what you're going to do in it. Amen.
And also, we do pray for
Harley.
No,
Or Dave.
Dave. Yeah.
Jessica.
Yeah, Dave and the family, and yeah, and so Father, just bring them,
Josie and
bring that family great shalom, great comfort, and Father, may the testimony of Joe's life just be reverberate. Let them have the memories of great joy, and Father, as she served that family and encouraged and strengthened and witnessed. And so, Father, we just bless you and thank you for ministering to them in the name of Yeshua.
Let Joe become the glue that Joe was for that family.
Yes.
I do have a testimony from that. Toby, one of her grandchildren, Toby has been delayed, and he was very premature. So, how old is he now? Anyway, he's just delayed. He has been delayed, and he's getting taken care of for that and starting to go to classes. And all of a sudden, the very next day after Joe passed away, he's sitting up and doing things he couldn't do before. So Jessica, her daughter, is like, oh, yeah. So
It's great.
and Joe wanted that baby. I mean, he's not a baby, but all our
That
kids
infant, yeah.
And I'd like to make a report on Terry that went to the hospital one night, and the Lord worked mightily and swiftly and brought her right through that gate, and she's back in this with the bed, back in it with us.
And we have Bacha is here for everybody online. Bacha has come to Life of Worship before, and she has moved back to Amarillo after the loss. Do you care if I say that? Yeah. After the loss of her husband, who battled ALS for 3 years. And so we are so excited to have her back here at Life of Worship. And I hope you guys get to hear her voice as she pours herself out today along all of us. And we're excited.
Make me sing a solo or something.
That'd be great.
Well, good deal. Well, this week's Torah portion is Tavo. Tavo, it is Deuteronomy chapter 26, beginning with verse 1, and it runs through chapter 29, verse 8. And this is the one where, well, it means when you go in, but this is the one where they're given the instructions. They're gonna go up to Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal, and they're going to pronounce the blessings and the curses when they enter into the land. And of course, because of that, we also have, this is chapter 28, which is loaded with here's the blessings, here are the curses, but there's also the curses that they're supposed to pronounce at Mount Ebal. And Joy.
So, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but because I can't do what you guys do, but I looked up Ki Tavo.
Yes.
And Ki, K-I, can be doubtless or certainly. Certainly is what I like. And then Tavo can be abide. So certainly abide by all these things so that you may prosper. Because it says that at the very end, therefore do observe the words of this covenant, obey them so that you can make everything you do prosper.
Amen.
Excellent. Really good point. There is a little bit, if you play with the Hebrew letters just a little bit, if you have Ki Tavo and you take that first 3 letters, because it's Ki and then the second word is Tavo, but if you took K-I-T, Avo, you would be saying it is the word for heartbeat, and then you put vo on the end of that. It's the heartbeat of going. So think about that. Is that what is it that we're supposed to enter into? How about the rhythm of the Father's heart? And that is really what this is. It's kind of, we talk about over in Leviticus where there's the middle of the entire Torah, and it's talking about this is the heart of the Torah. But here we have the heartbeat. The heartbeat of the Torah is right here. And oftentimes, we've heard in Christian circles where they talk about, they love the blessings. They don't want to talk about the curses, and they don't want to talk about the prerequisite of entering into the blessings and staying away from the curses. But all of it, it's about, this is an inheritance that we are to experience. But we talk about the land and going back to the land and the land that's there today and all of that. But when do we enter into our inheritance? When do we enter into this whole realm? Well, it's the realm of the kingdom, isn't it?
Maybe it's a process. You enter it every time you learn, every time you.
I agree, Joy.
Hoping is that it's a process when you're learning, and by the end.
Yeah, and so because what we're talking about is the idea of a journey. And so the process of this journey and the inheritance of these promises actually started when we left Egypt. So when we leave Egypt, where do we go? We go into this wilderness stage. And we've talked about it many, many times before, is that, well, we're in exile. So what does it mean? We're in the wilderness. But remember last week I was talking about I introduced this concept of the 2 mountains and how they went to Mount Sinai, Mount Horeb. They're in the wilderness. But here but that was like this beginning stages, and they come to the mountain, and yet now they're coming to another set of mountains, Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal. So we have an idea and a comparison that's going in, something that we're introduced to in the wilderness, and then something when we're coming out of the wilderness, this two more pillars. And we talked about the two mountains of Mount Sinai and Mount Horeb as two pillars that were covered by the cloud, kind of like the chuppah, that they entered into this betrothal, this marriage contract. And yet now we see going into the land two more mountains, and yet what we even see in more detail than what was given at Mount Sinai as this covenant of where we start with the Ten Commandments and going on to chapter 24 of Exodus, where it's laying out here's some framework, but here's the framework, and now here's what happens when we choose to enter in. When we choose to enter in, when we step into that's prerequisite by obedience, by living this out and fulfilling it, is now we get to inherit the fullness of the promises. Sandi.
Well, I want to keep with what you're saying because we are going in, but I want to jump back a little bit with what Joy was saying too, because there's something really different about well, of course, everything that y'all wrote is so cool, but at this phrase at the beginning, we have Wahaya, Ki Tavo, Aharetz, Asher, and we go on from there. But when you look at the Hebrew spelling, it's spelled Vav He Yod He. And so what is Vav always? It's always the connector. It's always been the connector. It also represents Messiah because he is the connector to us. It represents heavens and earth, the spiritual and natural, Yahweh and his people, and he's the ladder that connects the earthly and the spiritual.
Yes, that's so cool.
But that placement of the Vav, which also represents what? Spiritual authority. The Vav is that sovereign authority in earth because it represents his authority on earth. And the Vav represents Messiah. And what happened? The Vav who represents Messiah moved to the front. So he is the front because we're about to go in. So who needs to be before us before we go in? He's telling us that it's his authority that has moved to the front. Not that he was ever, but here I am. All the troublemakers they're gone, and this is a new day, and this is a new season, and I'm in the front. My authority is going before you. And the president and that Vav moved to the front, it's his presence who we deal with on earth. And then when you go with that hey, that's next. And what's the hey? It's breath. It's that breath. And so when you put the Vav in the front that says Messiah, the connector, the humbled one, it that comes out of his mouth has that connection of Yah and his authority. It's his breath, it's his life. Because his breath gives forth life. And he's the living word. And I'm not gonna I could go on from there, but I just like it that you see it start and you don't notice it in English, and you don't really even notice it unless you look at the language in Hebrew. That Vav He Yod He. So, and like I said, I could probably talk for another 10 minutes, but I'm not going to do that.
I was going to add, I think this whole Torah portion hinges on another really tiny Hebrew word, which is the Hebrew word im. If you do this, if you do this, if you don't do this, it's always on that tiny little word that everything hinges.
Yeah,
And
it's a hinge. It is exactly a hinge.
It's yesterday, today, and forever. It all hinges on that tiny Hebrew word.
That tiny word.
So which side are you going to live on? Because if you choose him, blessing. If you don't,
stark difference between which,
Well, but we have in Hebrew, every name has a good and bad. There's a good side, a bad side, and it's the same thing. Do we choose life or death? Mm-hmm. And every day we make decisions that are going to bring forth life or death in our own lives. Even
Are you going to choose victory in the high road?
are we going to choose?
Are you going to choose the enemy's downfall? That you will go down with him.
Yeah,
that's really good, Butch. I'm glad you brought that out.
Well, we typically begin reading and start out reading. So let's read chapter 1. Can I get someone to volunteer to read chapter 1? The first chapter of this Torah portion. Sorry, chapter 26. Yes, sorry, I misspoke. And by the way, I do want to give a shout out. Nancy and Bob joined us in the chat. So
Hey, we love you guys.
all right, go ahead, Joy.
When you have come to the land Yehovah your Elohim is giving you as your inheritance, taken possession of it and settled there, you are to take the first fruits of all the crops of the ground that the ground yields, which you will harvest from your land that Yehovah your Elohim is giving you. Put them in a basket and go to the place where Yehovah your Elohim will choose to have his name live. You will approach the Kohen holding office at the time and say to him, Today I declare, Yehovah your Elohim, that I have come to the land Yehovah swore to our ancestors and that he would give us. The Kohen will take the basket from your hand and put it down in front of the altar of Yehovah your Elohim. Then in the presence of Yehovah your Elohim, you are to say, My ancestor was a nomad from Aram. He went down into Egypt, few in number, and stayed. There he became a great, strong, populous nation. But the Egyptians treated us badly. They oppressed us and imposed harsh slavery on us. So we cried out to Yehovah, the Elohim of our ancestors. Yehovah heard us and saw our misery, toil, and oppression. And Yehovah brought us out of Egypt with a strong hand and a stretched out arm, with great terror, with signs and wonders. Now he has brought us to this place and given us this land, a land flowing with milk and honey. Therefore, as you see, I have now brought the first fruits of the land which you, Yehovah, have given me. You are then to put the basket down before Yehovah your Elohim, prostrate yourself before Yehovah your Elohim, and take joy in all the good that Yehovah your Elohim has given you, your household, the levy, and the foreigner living with you. After you have separated a tenth of the crops yielded in the third year, the year of separating a tenth, and have given it to the levy, the foreign, the orphan, and the widow, so that they can have enough food to satisfy them while staying with you, you are to say in the presence of Yehovah your Elohim, I have rid my house of the things set aside for Elohim, and given them to the levy, the foreigner, the orphan, and the widow, in keeping with every one of the mitzvot you have given me. I haven't disobeyed any of your mitzvot or forgotten them. I haven't eaten any of this food when mourning. I haven't put any of it aside when unclean, nor have I given any of it for the dead. I have listened to what Yehovah my Elohim has said, and I have done everything you ordered me to do. Look out from your holy dwelling place from heavens and bless your people Israel in the land you gave us, as you swore to our ancestors, a land flowing with milk and honey. Today, Yehovah your Elohim orders you to obey these laws and rulings. Therefore, you are to observe and obey them with all your heart and all your being. You are agreeing today that Yehovah is your Elohim and that you will follow in his ways, observe his laws, mitzvot, and rulings, and do what he says. In turn, Yehovah is agreeing today that you are his own unique treasure, Segula, as he promised you that you are to observe his mitzvot, and that he will raise you high above all the nations he made in praise, reputation, and glory. And that, as he said, you will be a holy people for Yehovah your Elohim.
That is wonderful.
Excellent.
Great. It's great scripture.
Yes, it is.
Beautiful, beautiful word. That's all I can say.
Yes. So, a lot of times in the past, you've heard me talk about how, well, even how the Torah portions are just loaded with bridal language, and there's a lot of things that are packed into this. A lot of this, we've already started out talking a little bit because about the betrothal at the mountain at Mount Sinai, and what was very interesting is that keep in mind when we were talking about the mountains last week, remember how a barrier was set up that they were not supposed to cross the barrier or they would die. And why? Because it was related to well, the ancient treaties Oh, I was wondering what that was. Okay, the ancient treaties, and that when the treaty was being written, this was only for those that were the representatives of the two kingdoms, the vassal kingdom and the sovereign kingdom, the suzerain kingdom, and they're come together, and no one's supposed to go past that the perimeter while they're working out the treaty, or they would die. And so here we see, Moses going up on the mountain, who is the representative, and nobody was supposed to cross that barrier or they would die. And they set up, and the thing was, Yahweh said, those that cross this barrier will die. And yet on the other side, Moses was told and commanded, and then told the people, set up archers lest anybody cross the barrier. So I mean, both sides are protecting the boundary. And now we have these two other mountains. But this time, all 12 tribes are called to go to the top of the mountain, 6 on one side and 6 to the other side. And of course, it's at the place called Shechem, which means shoulders, but we're going to dig into that a little bit more as well. But you can also look at it as two mountains that, with the valley in the middle, is Shechem, but also two mountains that are and this representing an entryway into the land. Now, if you look at a map and where it's located, they did not enter at Shechem. They entered at right across the river from Jordan. Yeah, it's on the
That's
Jordan,
why
across from what's
that's
the
why
name
the
of that
rocks
town?
are erected there, because you're supposed to cross the Jordan, so you see the rocks and remember the altar, the rocks, etc. But that's not where we're at. Okay.
Right. So boy, my brain just lost the name of the town that they were from, across from. Jericho. There we go. Thank you, Tammy. All right. So this is why we have crowdsourcing. We have crowdsourcing going on.
One way.
Okay. All right. So when I'm trying to dig it out, because my mind's over here, I got to go back to the other side of the valley and pull out that word. And it's like, that's going to take some time. But then I got other people that just like spit it out very good. Jericho. So, but keep in mind, and then what were they supposed to do? They're supposed to build a pillar and a pile of rocks. And when they were going to go up to Mount Ebal, what did they do? They were supposed to take unhewn stone on Mount Ebal. Now it wasn't on Gerizim; it was on Mount Ebal, and build this pile of stones with what? What was written on them? They were supposed to be
Plaster and the
a
word, right?
limestone plaster on these stones that are uncut
Yep.
with
That's right.
the commandments on them.
That's right.
With the Torah.
With the Torah on them. So
Written plainly, it says.
yeah, written
That's what
plainly.
word says.
It does. And so what was received at Mount Sinai? 2 tablets, each with not just 5 and 5, but each with all of the commandments. Why? One is representing the treaty that the Most High would take care of, and the other representing the treaty that the people would take care of. Both of them, and written in stone. And here now on this other mountain, and you think about the mountain that's pronouncing the curse, they're putting these commandments, and they're supposed to build an altar up there as well. And so we'll get into that. But now these stones on a mountain. Now a lot of times we translate Eval as bald, but it is a stone mountain. It is a stone mountain. It would.
It is to this day.
I
It
know
is.
vegetation.
Gerizim is full of life,
Right.
and it's
No
wonderful.
vegetation.
And where the curses were pronounced, it's more desolate.
Wow.
Yeah. So when we think about this stone or bare mountain, and when you break that word apart, Eval, to the ayin and the yod, it means ruin or heap of ruins. And then the other part, if you take, so that Eval, the other part is if you have vala, you actually add a hey on the end, and that means to wear out or to become old. So the overall idea is a heap of barrenness. And you think about stones upon this stone mountain. Well, isn't it interesting when Yeshua was talking to Peter and and he said that Peter, whose name means little rock, but he says, upon uh, this rock shall my kingdom be built. So think about this, on this rock of revelation. There's a revelation, but a lot of times all we associate Mount Ebal with is a curse, the place that they pronounced the curse from. But maybe there's a little bit more that we need to find out. What is needing to be revealed here, and or uh, or to be uncovered. And so, if we look a little bit more deeply, let's pull back some more layers. What are they supposed to do when you enter the land? And the word land is eretz. Now, we've known that, we've studied that word out. But did you know that it is the fourth most frequently occurring noun in the Torah?
Pretty important, eh?
Uh, it occurs 2,504 times.
Wow.
I mean, so think about, why is the land so significant that that it would have to be repeated so many times for emphasis? It's
Yeah.
This is so it's telling us when you enter this place where there's great emphasis. Now, those of us that have following Hebraic roots for a long time, we understand. I want to see what you're showing. Okay.
The barrenness.
Yeah.
It's small. I
Okay.
mean, it's
Yeah. Okay. And so when you think about this, there's something that we need to be looking at, and it is so eretz is related to a couple other Hebrew words. And so if you're writing some notes down and you're keeping track of this, and you want to go look it up for yourself, which I encourage you to do. It comes from Strong 776. Well, close to 776 is 779, and that word is arar. Arar. Well, why do I bring that up? Because it's related to this Torah portion. That word means to curse. It means to curse. And then another one is 781. So just a couple other words close. So when you start looking at these Hebrew meanings and Hebrew words, and you just simply go down through Strong's Concordance and you look at, okay, here's this word, and then the next one's like going through a dictionary, and you see just maybe a change in a letter, but there's a relationship. So think about a relationship, and why is it important for us to know that Eretz is related to Arar, which is also related to 781, Aras, or Aras, yeah, Aras, which means, this is interesting, what were we talking about earlier? To betroth, to engage, or to pledge in marriage. So now what we have is we're connecting the dots between Mount Sinai and and Mount Ebal. There's something that is needing to be revealed. So when we think about now going into the land, first off, when Israel crosses over, or the generation that was at the end, the generation that was in, this is the second generation coming out of Egypt. So the generation at the end will also be called to take the land. It's all about a curse being reversed or broken from the one who is betrothed, engaged, or pledged in marriage. So really, there was a divorce in between that generation that was before us. There was a divorce and then a betrothal once again. And so now we have set up for us this dynamic, this and what it you were talking about this earlier, Sandy, is that which was, that which is, and that which is to come. Hu Yavo, right?
Yes.
It's, and go ahead.
Well, I wanted, since you are looking at arets and you're looking at cognates and some different things that are connected to arets or words that can play with it, It is spelled with the same letters as a star, ASTAR, number 686. And that, because this is going to add a layer to what you just said and what Joy's read, and when she said, when she talked about the treasure, and it's because a star means to store up, to save, to treasure. It's the same term used to describe somebody who's put in charge of stored items. It, like we read in Nehemiah 13:13, when there were certain individuals put in charge of the storehouses, where they would bring the tithes, which we're talking about first fruits and the Levites, and who are the Levites. Of course, I've answered all that in some of my messages before. And anyway, where they would bring their first fruits. And then, and when he tells them he's going to bring them into the land he's talking about. So what's happening them is he's bringing them into the storehouse. Yom Segula, he is bringing the treasure into his storehouse, which is full of treasure, which is full of life. So, but at the same time, we're tested and as to whether we really are committed or not, if, as Bacha said, if, and then are we willing to build his storehouses? Now remember, I talked previously that society now, we're building storehouses for the enemy with the things that he's given us, because there's I don't want to get into that message, but whose storehouses are we going to build up with what he's given us? And when we fail to follow his word, Malachi 3:3, when you look through 8 through 10, and you're under a curse. Why are you under a curse? Because you did not bring your tithes into the storehouse. And it says, bring all your whole tithes into the storehouse. Test me in this and see if I will not open the floodgates of heaven and pour out such a blessing that you have room enough not to contain it. But if we don't do that, we're building another storehouse. And then we can get into all the questions about all of that. And I have a 3-part series on all that, and it would take time. But we are his treasure. But at the same time, what we do is showing where our treasure is. So in fact, in one place, Yah throws down the gauntlet and it puts it all out there and lets them know what his intent is here. And and like I said, if you actually look at Malachi 3:10, bring, which is bow ye all, or bow all the tithes in the storehouse. Anyway, I'm not, like I said, I didn't want to get into all of that right now, but are we his treasure, and is he ours? I think that's because that very word, like I said, like John's pointing out, the things that related to the land. Well, if people are searching for treasure, where do they generally look? They look in a land.
In the ground.
Yeah,
Right?
they look in the ground. Or they're looking at the land. Well, the land is supposed to be full of his treasure, which is us. But he, as we talked about before, he's abiding with us, that you talked about. But he's also going before us with that bob, because his word says that he made a way where there seems to be no way. And he's the way maker and the miracle worker. And we cross over so that we remember these things that are written in his word in the Torah, because they're done in plaster on the pillar, on the rock, because yet on the stone that have been come together to create this thing. And we are the living stones that fill the land. I mean, there's just so much that you could just run with all of it.
It's really interesting because just to go off what you were saying, and we'll get back over here, is of course in this we were just reading here in chapter 26 where it's talking about the tithe and the 3 different types of tithes, and that word for tithe is maaser, and so you see that word asar is embedded in maaser. So
And the land is embedded in the tithe.
And the land is embedded in the tithe, right? It's just, that's why Hebrew is so amazing. So if you're like, I'm getting lost in all this language, you stick with us long enough, these things will start to connect the dots. And if you're not getting it, then write these words down, write down where we find them in Strong's and look them up. and study them out on your own, because that's how it settles deep within you. I don't want to lose anybody. That's why we explain it all. But so it's made of the letters, the mem, the ayin, the sheen, and the resh. And in the Paleo Hebrew, it's giving the idea, or it implies seeing and giving life to Yah's purposes. So this is what's in the treasure, this flow of life. What's in what this that technically it literally means a debt owed, a debt that we clean out of our house, which is what a tithe is where we're giving that which is owed to Yahweh. But what it implies to us is that this is how we see. This is how we give life to Yah's purposes. You want to know what God's purposes are in our life? Is that there's some connections that we're seeing, that's connected to the land. It's connected to this journey that we're on. And what do we all want to do? How many times have we had our kids in the back seat of our car and we're driving on a journey and they say, "Are we there yet?" Right? And how annoying it is, but don't we say that?
We still say that.
Don't we say that? We're adults. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Do we say, is this journey almost over? Or are we ready to? I mean, I want to enter into that promise, and I want to enter into that land. I want to, in fact, I want it revealed before I get there. But that's what he's doing. He's revealing it as we get there, as we're on this journey.
And he's trying to get us into that deeper relationship with him.
Yes.
Get the dross out. Is he trying to get that dross out, right?
That's part of it. Yeah.
He wants us to walk out his covenant. And so he's teaching, he's instructing, he's like, come in, draw close to me, come in deeper. Or you just want the surface.
So I would like to suggest this, is that so when they're going up on the mountain and we're specifically talking about Eval, and we're talking about this wedding language, and that Yahweh is talking about something that he is wanting us to connect with, because now with the pronouncement, where are the curses pronounced to? The other 6 tribes who are in the blessing. So they're not the ones saying it, they're the ones hearing it, hearing the curses. The ones on Eval are the ones that are hearing the blessing. But I would suggest that what we're looking at is, these are the things, as Baccia talked about earlier, that hinge, that if you will enter in, then you will then embrace this lifestyle. You'll embrace the lifestyle of the kingdom. And if you don't want to embrace the lifestyle of the kingdom, then I will not betroth you. So, because a lot of times, because I talked about what the Christians, they love the blessings, but the fact is if we don't enter through the door, through this and then all we can be is a wedding guest, or maybe a servant, or nothing. And so this is why this is so important when we're looking at this 2 prominent mountains. They're meant for us to look at. They're meant for us to consider. And it is, do we want to enter in through these 2 pillars, or shall we say another idea of a chuppah? This is what's important. A chuppah, talking about the marriage altar, a ketubah.
The language that, from 16 on down is just like and this is going without saying, I know you already said it, but I have to say it, bothering me. Anyway, it's like a contract. It's like the covenant. I'm going to do this for you, but you in turn are going to agree to this. And that's what a contract is. That's what a ketubah is. If you read marriage ketubahs, it's like, that, a written contract. That's why there were 2, right? Is that what you were saying? There's one party gets one and the other party gets the other copy, right? thing. So
Yeah,
anyway, I
yeah.
had to just say that.
Yeah, you can draw that. Yeah, you can draw that inference from it as well. And the point
Yeah,
is,
it's a legal document. There you go.
and the point is that the two become one.
Yeah.
They're
That's amazing.
and that is so. Though we see it, we can see it as separate, but this is key to the two becoming one. And we have to really see the significance of that. Now, when we look at if we go, let's look at Hosea chapter 2 verses 23, verse 23. We'll go there. But as you're going there, I thought just Hosea chapter 2 verse 23. It's interesting that this week's half Torah is from Isaiah chapter 60.
Well, doesn't it continue to be that part of that 7-week thing? What's it called? Monty's been teaching on
The
it.
Shemitah or the
No,
Jubilee or
the I can't remember the word. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Compilation.
I don't know. I don't think that's right, but
so in Isaiah chapter 60, of course, it begins with, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of Yahweh has risen upon you. Behold, darkness will cover the earth, and deep darkness the peoples, but Yahweh will rise upon you, and his glory will appear upon you." Uh, and so, when you go through this and you look at all of the different elements, you see why is this connected? Why did the sages connect that half Torah portion to this Torah reading? Is because about the revelation, this light. Well, what happens when a man and a woman come together and the seed joins with the egg? Behold, light. Behold, light. Yeah. And so here we have in Hosea chapter 2, verse 23, "And I will sow her unto me into or in the earth, Eretz, and I will have mercy upon her that had not obtained mercy, and I will say to them which were not my people, Thou art my people, and they shall say, Thou art my Elohim." So what do we have? We've got these three curses portrayed with the children of Hosea: Jezreel, which means Yah sows and scatters; um, La Ruhama, which means no mercy, and which is a term, mercy, Raham, is also identical to the word for womb. It's identical for the word for womb. So it is talking about one without a womb, or one that's a cursed womb or barren. So what do we have? Mount Ebal. It would appear to be this woman who is without child, who has not borne forth the fruit yet. The light hasn't come. That spark has not hit. And then Loami is not my people. So when you look and we see all three of these woven in and dealt with, we're beginning to see this picture that's unfolding. Because why? Because the barren woman is about to birth something, because she's no longer going to be barren. And so she's been in the state of living in a curse, been in the state of not being able to enter in or have the treasure of the land produced for her. But wait a minute, the blessing is about to be pronounced on her. And so that when we go back to Ki Tavo, and vo meaning to go in, to enter, to come, go in, it means all of those things, but it can also be used in terms of intimacy. So like as it describes Eve being brought to Adam, what did she do? She was brought to Adam, and they entered in intimacy, helping to establish, and dealing with the one who is a Ross, betrothed, pledged in marriage. Wow. So yeah, go ahead.
so do you think that because there has to be witnesses, right? And isn't the earth one of the witnesses, right?
Heaven and earth.
Heaven and earth. And so, in Hosea, it says right above where you read. Do you mind if I read that?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. When that day comes, I will answer, says Jehovah. I will answer the sky, and it will answer the earth, and the earth will answer the corn, wine, oil, and they will answer Jehovah or Israel. God will sow. And then it goes on to say what you said, but it just made me think of the witnesses because we have so the earth is like a witness, right?
hmm
And that's the land that we're going to, I guess. I'm trying to connect that. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, witness.
yeah. So
What else was the witness? The sky or something, or what? It was the earth and
heaven and earth.
heaven and earth.
And
There you
so,
go.
but isn't it interesting because is that the two should become one?
Mhm.
Always consider that, Pastor Sandy's talked about the 1-2-1 concept where the two become one, where
It's earth
it, it,
as it is in
it
heaven. I mean, it's that latter thing.
yeah,
Heaven's going to be coming down here
right.
to live, not up there and living.
No,
Right?
exactly, because I was listening to someone talk about this the other day, and it made me chew on some things about how the pre-trib people are talking about being separated from the earth and going to a heavenly location until the great tribulation is over, and then and yet this the concept of, oh, when we go to heaven, we die, we go to heaven. um it's nice, but it's biblically not accurate, because what the goal is that Yahweh comes to earth. Why is it that this planet, chosen out of all the planets of the solar system, of all the solar systems in all of creation, and here this one is chosen, and yet it's taught, I can't wait till we're off this planet.
Oh, yeah, no.
Why is that?
Created it for us.
When he
Revelation
created
21 says that the New Jerusalem is
Coming down.
coming down. He's going to come and live with
That's right.
us.
Yeah, yeah.
Ever.
So yes, so in other words, those that have passed are in a holding place of paradise,
That's what I think.
and to rejoin us in the resurrection of the dead. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So when we actually understand the biblical concepts, the whole concept is this race of humanity who have chosen, if I do these things, then I will. And here's that wedding language again, is that we all become the betrothed under those requirements. Otherwise, we're outside. And so it's weighty.
So cool.
It's
Actually, it's so cool. It gets me
It
excited.
is.
yeah,
It is.
yeah. And so looking at this, Tavo is it has a value of 439, which is the same as Shoftim. Shoftim. So Shoftim, remember what Shoftim was? We have a whole Torah study on that. Judges or judgments. Yeah. Shoftim, judgments, and it's showing a connection between entering the land and the betrothal. So go to Hosea 2:19. Hosea 2:19, where it says, this was so cool when I was looking it up earlier. I'm going to have to see if I glitch on y'all, it's just because I'm going back on my notes. So we have, so it says here, Hosea 2:19, and I will betroth thee unto me forever. Yea, I will betroth thee unto me in righteousness and in judgment, Shoftim, and in loving kindness and mercies. So I'm just going to have to relook up that word. That's again.
Mine says grace. That's not right, is it? Grace.
Mine says, I betroth you to righteousness and justice and grace and compassion. I will
So you're
betroth
saying-
you for me in faithfulness, and you will know Adonai.
So grace should be Shoftim.
No, grace would be the loving kindness, I believe. So
Justice, maybe justice.
Yeah, mine says just.
yeah, so remember justice. Uh, and but so it's now this says, oh, okay, yeah. So I mean the word is mishpat if you're looking for the Hebrew word on it. But what I'm doing is I'm connecting the dot of how the value of shoftim um, is judgment, and where we see that embedded in that verse. So it's not this. Okay, so what we're doing is we're connecting an idea that in the calculation, so the calculation of the words gives us a connection to betrothal. And so what happens at Mount Ebal and Mount Gerizim? What's being pronounced? Well, what does a judge do at the gate? That he is there. Well, think about it. He's pronouncing judgments. Judgments can be good and judgments can be bad. There's consequences for how we do. We have the blessings, we have the curses. And so isn't it interesting that what we have set up here are um uh y'all need to help me with the word on this, but it is the decision is ours. The decision has been placed before us. What do we do with it? Are we going to be ones who say, I do, like they did at the mountain, and then they couldn't hear it? They said, well, Moses, you just tell us what it is. And yet they said, everything you say, we will do. And then, and here it is. It's repeating a story, and yet they're all involved. All 12 tribes are involved in this saying of, okay, I understand, but these are the consequences of what I choose to do. Do I get to be betrothed or do I not? Do I get to enter in or do I not? Do I get the blessing? Am I really the segula? Am I really this treasured possession that he's saying that I am, but will I realize it by what's in my heart? Because is my heart in it? Do I like what I say? Oh yeah, that belongs to me. All these professions of faith and all of these um, things that we like to say, but do I believe it? Is it in my heart? Is my head coming into agreement with it? And because that word where we get segula, uh, the word guluth, galuth is the word for exile, huh? Golgotha is, I think it's related in there, yeah. Um,
The Galuth is what again? I'm sorry.
Galuth, it means exile, exiles, or captivity. Do we want to come out of exile, or do we choose to remain in exile? Oh, we like all the fringe benefits, but what are we choosing? Are we going, because it's pointing to the curse of Loami, not my people, the exiles returning and hearing, you are my people.
You said something that I don't want to dismiss quickly right now because you talked about what's in the heart. If you jump over in the Torah portion to 29, Deuteronomy 29, verses 1 through 3, says, you have seen all that Yah has done before your very eyes in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh and to all his servants and to the whole country, the great feats that you saw with your eyes, the great signs and marvels, but God did not give you a heart to know, eyes to see, or ears to hear until today. Now, we've talked before, you can say from that, oh, wait, so I couldn't even understand anything till God opened my heart. I don't think that's the case. But what I pick up here more than anything is something I've talked about before, and it's been scientifically proven that the heart is an organ in our body that pumps blood. But the heart remembers. The heart thinks. Like our brain thinks. I can't explain it like that, but the heart has that memory. And what is pumped through the heart? Blood. The life force. And there's life in the blood, right? Mm-hmm. So if your entire life is in the blood, prophetically, one drop of Yeshua's blood brings forth life, right?
Yeah.
And we say one drop covers us, but the heart is a far more powerful and intrinsic in value to our spiritual life, to how we live, than the world would even have us understand. Because what does this mean? We have eyes to see, to understand, to see, to comprehend in a way things that he's done. We have ears to hear his words that bring forth life. We have our brains that can do things as well. I mean, bring forth memory and recall and do and think, but the heart, I mean, if you're about to face something, do you feel it in your head, or do you feel it right there in the pit of your
It's like the
stomach?
heart is maybe more connected to your spirit than your brain. You know, the
Yeah.
brain is connected to the body because it tells you what to do, but that heart is connected to your spirit.
That's right.
But it also
It's He
says
breathed into us.
it also says the heart is deceitful above all.
It is. It is.
But
and
you're
the
right.
feeling that you're talking about is what I was talking
Yes.
about. You know.
And that's why when I heard the heart brought up, I mean, in this Torah portion where it talks about the heart, because I don't want to get into, well, did y'all hold back everything until they get done? No, and there's more to it than that, and you can look at different rabbis and people from the past and sort of run from that. But I want to just give something
Well,
about
it's a
the heart.
connection too. It's connecting.
Just for scientific purposes, here's a quote from Paul Purcell. He's a researcher. He says he's observed that transplant patients that receive an organ from another person's body also receive much more, what he's called their cellular memories. Recipients have reported everything from inheriting the donor's food cravings to knowledge about his murderer to information that no one else, in the case that led to the killer's arrest. As a result of these and other research findings, I bet that, oh, and he put, I bet that freaked out the murderer. How do you know? I don't know. As a result, so they'd ask you, how do you know? I just know. Yeah. As a result of these and other research findings, Purcell is now convinced that the heart has its own form of intelligence that we are only rarely aware of in modern life. In this view, the heart processes information about the body and the outside world through an info-energetic code, a profuse network of blood vessels and cells that serve not only as a circulatory system, but as an energy information gathering and a distribution system, much like the complex telephone network. What's more, he believes the soul, at least in part, is a set of cellular memories that is carried largely by our hearts. Predictably, such views have met the opposition in the medical world. But in his view, the implications of his theories that the heart thinks, calls, or cells remember and communicate can therefore transcend the boundaries of time and space and are too important for us to dismiss. And this study was done a while back. Even in more recent times, we've heard of transplant victims or victims. Yeah, in a way that could be, but those that have received things even from blood to organs, that they do have the memories of the other person and things like that. And then blood, just giving blood, if you give your blood and somebody in Australia is the one that received it, there's a connection that happens that's been proven. The emotion, one person's feeling the emotion all the way down there, that is beyond my own comprehension or understanding. But the bottom line is, when he mentions the eyes and the ears hear and the heart thinks and understands and recalls, and it's that place within us that's either stirred with excitement in our spirit, and that's what we call our spirit, or feels like something's looming and things like that. So,
They say the gut also thinks.
Yeah. I believe that.
Well, I think when they say that, what they're referring to is that heart thinking. It's just that hit in your stomach. Because when you think of it, I think that's more what.
Well, the blood's in the heart, and when your gut's messed up, it affects your whole. Well, when your heart's messed up, your whole system.
The blood.
Yes. So I think it's a combo now.
Yeah.
If he's in the blood,
The package deal.
yeah. I mean, if you think about that, I mean, that's a heavy thought. That he is And that's why the blood's such a big deal.
Tammy put in here, it's called quantum physics.
Very
And
good.
Bob said quantum
Very good.
entanglement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Way to go, Bob. I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, there's more to dig out from this. We're talking about the word, this idea of being in exile and captivity, galuth, and it comes from the root of that word is galah. So this is going to get us over to Gerizim here in a second, and which means to uncover or remove or to reveal. Galah is Strong's 1540, 1540. If you're writing down these words and look up later. So to uncover or to remove or to reveal. So as we're preparing to go in, like Tavo, it not only entails curses being, well, it actually entails curses being broken. Curses being broken. Why? Because it is now in this journey what's being revealed. How do we step out of the land of exile? How do we step out of captivity? It's being revealed. What did the people do? They were redeemed, and then they went to the mountain, and what was revealed to them was freedom. Now, did they accept freedom? No, they kept wanting to go back to where it was comfortable, where they had their leeks and their garlics, where they had that place that they thought was provision. Isn't that pretty? And if you think about it, isn't that a great deception? That we think that we're living free. We think that we're living in a place of provision, when in reality, isn't it just kind of like maybe an illusion to keep us distracted? Joy.
So there's a song, and I hope that I don't screw this up. So there's a song that's called Nothing. I'm not here for blessing. I'm just here for you.
Yeah, that's nothing else. Yeah.
So nothing else. And so that song comes to mind with this because, you can get to looking at those blessings and you say, oh, I just, I want that so much. But you know what? I have a feeling that that those things don't matter. It's going to be our connection to Him. I mean, they do matter. I'm not saying that, but you want to look at Him first before all those blessings. I guess is what I'm trying to get at. Like what you're saying, you want your heart to connect to Him, so that you do it. I don't know how I want to put it. You don't want to just be prosperity. You want to do what He wants you to do, whether you prosper or not. I guess is what I'm trying to say. If things don't look, that's what made me think of that. Is when you said when it's not like you think it's going to be. Doesn't matter. You just need to continue to do what He wants you to do, and I'm thinking that's going to come.
Well, this life is a vapor too. And you got to have your head right with Him. You got to have your spirit and your soul right with Him, because He's all that matters. Okay. And you're going to find that out in the end. And you're going to have to sacrifice sometimes. And you will suffer sometimes because of this. But it's like
God is important, because you can kind of reset and get that, because we gotta lose that.
Yes.
Well, it's true. And so if you think about in a betrothal, so you have the bride to be waiting for a bridegroom. Well, what's the bridegroom doing? The bridegroom is sending his best man to go check on his bride. How's she doing? Does she need anything? Is there something that she's lacking? And right, and then if she's missing something, then he provides. He's taking care of her. And what is the requisite of the bride, besides maybe faithfulness and loyalty, is that her heart belongs to him. So that's how many times when you think about the prosperity gospel, where's the people's heart? They're so hanging on to, okay, what gift is being presented to me now? I mean, look, do I have a better car? Do I have a better house? Do I have a better paycheck? Do I have, all these different, and no, it's out of balance, because true prosperity is when our heart belongs to Him. And but because our heart belongs to him, he's always checking on it.
And we'll always know joy at stages, and I think more stages than not when we've got him deep within us, in our heart, in our soul, in our mind, in our spirit.
Yeah.
You know, but there's blessings in it, but there's also some work in it and some hard times sometimes.
So we take this, and Pastor Sandy was bringing this out earlier when we're looking at the arets, the land, when you kind of take the cognate of that and kind of change some words around, atsar being to store up, to lay up, to treasure up. It's also in that cognate of the word etzer. Now, what's etzer? Remember, Adam and Mrs. Adam? Is that it describes? Okay, I think your music just tipped. So, Eve was the etzer kenegdo. She was the helpmeet for Adam. Iser connector. So it's that connecto. So it's that. So this term, again, we're in that bridal language. We're in this idea of this covenant. It goes beyond this treaty language. It is because it's so intimate in the language, and now what is being stored up and saved up, treasured for these days, what's being revealed and uncovered, is so that the bride is the proper helpmeet for the bridegroom, for the Messiah. So why do we have Shabbat? Why do we get together? Why are we
connecting?
Because we are connecting. We're finding out how do we become a better bride, so to speak, and how do we fulfill? How do we prepare to fulfill his needs?
And we hold each other up while we're fighting. Don't want to go back to Christianity, but fighting the good fight. Okay, we have to connect. We have to know there's a shoulder to lean on, because the world is not easy, and the glory to come, though, that's with him when he comes back. I mean, it's all worth it. It is so worth it.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to go back to the two mountains, Gerizim and Ebal, and at the place called Shechem. Okay, so Shechem is, I thought there was some very interesting language, and I'm trying to see if I'm getting ahead of my notes. I am a little bit, but we can backtrack as well. And so yeah, it means back or shoulder. It's from Strong 7927. But there's other connections to it. Let's look at Zephaniah 3:9. Zephaniah 3:9. If someone has that, if you could read that. Zephaniah 3:9.
Verse 9.
Yeah, just verse 9.
For then I will restore to the peoples a pure language, that they all may call on the name of Adonai to serve him with one accord.
With one accord. Did you know that word, one accord? So we have the word echad in there, one echad, and in one accord would also be, accord is also the word consent. And I think in the King James it uses the word consent. Is that right, Terry? Do you have it there?
Check the verse and
Zephaniah 3:9. Yeah. So it's so with one consent. And do you know what that word consent is? Shechem.
Oh,
In one accord. Do you hear wedding language there? Marriage language, being in one accord. It also talks about, in second chapter of Acts, what were they doing? They're in the upper room, in the upper portico of the temple, in one accord. They were gathered together in one assent. I will turn, for then I will turn to the people a pure language, that they may call upon the name of Yahweh to serve him with consent, in one accord. I like that. And so Shechem, remember, is that territory of Joseph. And which means Yahweh has added, or it comes from the root meaning to add, to increase, or to gain, to the territory of Joseph. And and but you think, but wait a minute, what are we talking about? Shechem also means back or shoulder. Did you know it also means another cognate? I mean, using the same letters means neck. Well, what's between the shoulders is the neck. And I heard someone talk about it one time. Y'all probably heard the same speaker talking about that about the neck. Um, Speaking about, I think it was talking about like the wife. The wife is the neck that turns the head. It supports the
Yes,
head.
it said,
Supports the
but
head.
the husband may be the head, but the wife is the one that is the neck.
The neck that turns the head.
I think it said in jest.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So, but it's kind of it's maybe some wisdom in that. But this word also, we need to look at the inside. By the way, there is some insight. Let me look at this real quickly. Where did it go? It's
Series that they follow.
7924. I want to look at, so that's so Strong's. Oh yeah, this is interesting because the word right before Shechem in the Strong's dictionary definitions is the word Soklethanu. Sok Soklethanu. Shall we say it?
Strong's H 7924. Shochlethanu.
Shochlethanu. Shochlethanu. Okay, thank you. All right, so
Spit it out.
it's interesting because that's the word that leads to Shechem, but the word means insight. Shoklethanu, where Shechem comes out of Shoklethanu. It's another kind of a cognate more, but the word before it has in the Aramaic it comes from the word intelligence or understanding. Intelligence or understanding. So what is it about Shechem that we're trying to learn? We're learning that we're looking for insight, or when we're appearing upon it, where something's to be revealed, but we have to look at it. Ra'ah, to see, to have this vision. I think there was another, it's in this Torah portion, Ra'ah is all over the place, but what are we looking at? Something that's going to give us insight, something that's going to, we're getting more understanding about maybe this relationship that we have with the Most High. And it also means it means consent, 7925. So Shechem, that's where we were talking about in Zephaniah. But wait, there's more. Because when we look at that word, Shechem, which is a cognate of Shechem, means to rise or to start early, or to make an early start, It gives an idea when we look at some of the verses where it's used in Genesis 19:2, for example. It says, and he said, behold, my lords, turn in, I pray unto you, your servant's house, tarry all night, wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early and go in your ways. Abraham, Genesis 19:27, and Abraham got up early in the morning to the place where he stood before Yahweh. So, Jackie, do you relate to that, to rise?
I'm not even.
I'm giving you a hard time. All right. It has a.
Remember, he has us prayer warriors on the line in the middle of the night.
He,
Okay.
he does. That's where you are.
Mhm.
Yeah. And also so to rise up early, well, what do you do? If you're going to go on a journey, you're going to load your beast of burden, your donkey, your camel, you're going to load them. And where do you load? But where's the load go? Between the shoulders. And so the whole idea is that, for example, to rise up early. Why? Because we cast all our cares upon Yahweh. Let him carry this burden of the day.
Start your day with
Let's look at that time where we can maybe get insight into our day. Maybe there's something to be revealed that he wants to let us know about what is ahead of us, and what divine appointments are being set before us. it is, you can draw a lot of conclusions about it, but it's where we come to with him in one accord, where we are aligning our day with his days. What purposes is he revealing to us that he's wanting to reveal to us? And uh, and and where's that download come? It comes into the heart. It comes down to our mind, our brain comes into alignment with the heartbeat of Yah. Remember, we're talking about Eretz, about how it's, or Kitavo, Kit meaning that heart, going in to get the rhythm of his heart, where we're
Yes.
aligning ourselves with his heartbeat rather than
His blood, the
where
rhythm.
where we're not having uh, some type of arrhythmia, some type of disconnected heartbeat. How many times do we go and we're just like, I'm so glad this day is over, because our heartbeat wasn't right. Our heartbeat was out of sync. And so we're really wanting to get in sync with what he's wanting to do. And that's where we come back over here to Gerizim, which is from Strong 1630, means cuttings off. Cuttings off. The root of that garaz, 1629, to cut or to cut off. The root of that is, of Gerizim, is gets. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but the Gimel Zadeh, two-letter root, is from 7328, means secret or mystery. So what is it that is being Galah, and Galah, another cognate of it, to uncover or reveal? What is it that he is revealing through what's being cut off? They're up there pronouncing the blessings. They're hearing the curses over there on Mount Gerizim, and yet this is about a covenant, because what's on Eval is an altar. Well, an altar isn't built without a purpose. It's not because, what's that old thing about, in what is this?
The writing utensil.
It's the purpose of this is to
Right.
write our thoughts, to write our notes, so this is just an instrument. The altar is just an instrument. They built an altar of unhewn stones, but what is it? It's an instrument by which blood of an animal was shed. In other words, this, where the curses are, blood was shed. Where there is another mountain, where Yeshua, or shall we say, there was another mountain where Abraham took his son, his only son, and he built an altar. But before blood of his son was shed, he provided a ram, and which that blood was shed on that mountain. But where was that mountain? It was another mountain. It's called Mount Moriah. It was giving us a revelation about the only son, the only one who would come and shed his blood at another mountain. That mountain is the one that we look to. At that mountain where it's not ours blood that we have to share. It's not our bloodline's blood that we have to shed, as in child sacrifice or anything like that, but it is the one who the Father provided for us. And so now we see in this place is the promise. It's more than that. This land produces an abundance by which, out of it, we pay the debt of the tithe, but it's out of it that Yahweh pays our debt.
Mhm.
That it's upon a mountain that we're to look to, because it's a gateway. Something is beyond these two mountains that we're going to look to. It's more than where Jacob came. It's where he came into the land. He came to Shechem first. I'm just trying to think in the sequence of things. It's to take us to that place of Mount Moriah, the place where a promise was. It was where Jacob lay down at Mount Moriah, at the place. at the Hamakom, the place. So it's so that we can enter in, but when we enter in, then we get to see this whole uniting, the coming together, or the consenting, or the one accord of what happened. Where is at Mount Moriah? It's another mountain, Mount Sinai, and not Mount Sinai, but it is about um, the place where Yah put His name. Oh, wow! What a what a unique idea that is being unveiled for us, because but for us to go between the shoulders, for us to enter in, is that we can't carry the burden.
Nope.
It's like the eye of the needle, that entry, the door, that little doorway at the gate, after the gates are closed at night, but here comes a traveler with his camel or his beast of burden, and he's got to come in through that eye of the needle, and everything's got to be stripped off,
Yep.
get rid of the baggage, and then and then and that camel will get down on his knees and work its way through that narrow doorway. And so this mountain that we're looking at is a heap of ruins, Eval, a stone or a bare mountain, is really beginning to say, look, we were once barren. We're not to be barren any longer. We are to bear fruit. But that bear fruit comes when the things are cut off. And you can think about this, the whole idea of the circumcision, this where we remove that, the foreskin of our heart. We're removing everything that causes our heart to be numb or dull or hardened, so that now, and with these pronouncements, that we really understand the blessings of the curses unless what he is really saying is written on our heart. And so then we can, so that the one who is cursed or barren is brought as a bride in marriage in order to see and to perceive and to understand as her womb is revealed. But wait a minute. Did you know that there's more? Um, in the word evolve, you can break that apart, where we get another word that perhaps you've seen before and studied. The it Where you have the ayin. What is um, evolve is ayin yod beit lamed. If you're writing it out, it's from Strong's 5858. Ayin is to see or to perceive and to understand, but it also represents a womb. Now you think, wait a minute, I thought the mem was related to the womb, anything like that. But and there's other Hebrew letters that relate to the womb, but this one also relates to it. If you take out the ayin, so separate the eye to see to perceive, and you have the yod, the bait, and the lamed, you have yaval, which means to bring, to lead, to carry, to bear along, as in a bride to marriage. It's related to another word, yovel, uh, which is a ram or ram's horn, the jubilee. It's which pronounces the jubilee. So the one who is cursed and barren will be brought as a bride in marriage to see or to perceive and to understand the jubilee as her womb is restored. No longer barren. Yeah. And that, I mean, it makes me think now, well, go back to Rebecca, who is the one, she was barren and then she has twins. What about Sarah, who was barren, who brings forth Isaac, the child of promise? It reminds me of that, which was like the only way that they would bear is unless something miraculous took place. unless there was, unless Yahweh intervened and caused them to bear fruit. Oh, doesn't it make it now? What are we? Unless Yahweh intervenes, we will never become one with Him.
That's right.
Unless Yahweh intervenes, we will never enter the land. And yes, Yahweh intervenes, we'll not even understand. We will not have knowledge of it. We will just think and substitute it with something else, like a rapture, like whatever you want to talk about, whatever seems to fit. Well, that sure feels good that I'm going to be taken out of a time of difficulty, but it's not truth. It's not accurate.
That's right.
And it's leading people astray. In fact, with that whole concept of where, like I talked about last week, where that evangelist came into town and he said, I don't know what I'm going to preach about. I'm going to preach about the rapture. That's what I think I need to do. And it was without repentance. It was a gospel
Not
without
good, yeah.
repentance. It was about I'm going to give you an easy way out. I'm going to give you a way of escape by which it totally went around, which there is no other way around, the idea where we lay down our life, where it cost us everything. Literally, it is where we come to the altar and we say, I am separating myself from my old self. And yet it's not my blood, but it's His blood. But we literally, what are we doing? We're laying it all down.
When you come to the end of yourself, and that's what this journey's about, taking off what needs to be taken off. But it's when you're nothing and He's it. Nothing else matters. He's it. Your kids, your grandkids, your jobs, your money, your whatever it is. It's not about that. It's about Him.
Mm.
He's it.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one that controls everything. You don't control nothing, okay?
So if you think about this, so we were talking about what's being revealed to us. What's being revealed to us, it's also really kind of gives us an idea. Well, it means that something has been mysterious or secret. Okay, so if something's mysterious or secret, then it means we don't have knowledge of it, but Yahweh wants us to have knowledge of it. The Most High wants us to understand. He wants us to come into the fullness of this understanding. So it's at Mount Ebal, the place of the curse, and where the barren one goes to be redeemed. It's where the barren one goes to be able to stand at Gerizim, where Gerizim being cut off. In other words, that veil that's in the way is removed. What is behind the veil? What are we supposed to see and look into? And again, seeing doesn't mean that we inherit, because doesn't that say that over in Hebrews that once these things have been people have come to see and then turn away, that they will never enter in to the promise. Let's read that just for clarification, but it's in Hebrews chapter 6. Let's read that. Would someone read that, verses 1?
Therefore, leaving behind the initial lessons about the Messiah, let us go on to maturity, not laying again the foundation of turning from works that led to death, trusting God.
Go through verse 6.
An instruction about washings, Mishnah, the resurrection of the dead and the eternal punishment. And God willing, this is what we will do. For when people have once been enlightened, tasted the heavenly gift, become shares of the Ruach HaKodesh, and tasted the goodness of God's word and the powers of Olam Haba, and then
age to come, yeah,
and then have fallen away, it is impossible to renew them to that they turn from their sin as long as for themselves they keep executing the Son of Yah on the stake all over again and keep holding him up to public contempt.
Open shame. Yeah. Yeah. That really goes along with this this idea that we're talking about today. And so we can come to that mountain and we can see, we can come to the Jesus peace.
That's
You know how
true.
I use
That's
that
true
phrase
too,
all the
yeah.
time. Come to the Jesus
Only way you
peace.
have peace.
But it's like, well, I have Jesus, so I'm okay.
That's only a
But
big part of it.
but to know him is to follow him,
Yes.
is to keep his commandments. To love him is to keep his commandments. And to that disconnect, which is great deception by the enemy, by Hasatan, the great deception that it is just the Jesus peace without the commandments is leading people to this same place. Oh, they come to Jesus, they come to this place, and they're like, well, now I have grace. Now my life has the fire insurance, and now we're going to go forward. And yet, did anything change? Or maybe for just a little bit, did the seed get planted but then the bird snatched it away? Or it wasn't watered properly, it was on dry ground and so it withered away? It popped up but it withered away. And or do we it, do we start to say, no, I want more. I want to find out what are
We
the
should always
keys,
be wanting
the
more.
keys of this lifestyle, the keys that's significant to be betrothed, and to make it to that wedding place, that wedding day. Then are these things that are before us. So, but how does Yahweh set it in stone? So we know that, we know the even the wedding ring. You think about the bride's wedding ring has a stone in a setting. What is it that when Eval means stone, maybe there's something more for us to look at as well. So,
Zeal from your end, yeah.
did you know that CDs and DVDs are made of stone? They're made of stone. It's a certain type of stone that makes up, or is the materials that make up a CD or DVD. And what does it do? What is it able to do? So in other words, oh, here's a CD. We can hold it up. But what is the purpose of it? It's to record sound. Even DVD records even the video. So we have the video and the audio. It records. So when we're looking at what is being pronounced, well, shall we also say what is being recorded?
Yeah.
Okay, because this stone, we've talked about this a lot in the past, is that in fact, I saw the demonstration. This guy who's dealing, he understood these ideas of quantum physics, and he took a piece of metal. He said, this piece of metal here is recording everything that I'm saying today. And when I go back to my I don't know if he called it his lab, but I'll call it his lab, because you have to have a lab to be able, a laboratory to be able to do this. But he said, I'm going to download the message today. Everything that was recorded, I'm going to download it. I'm like, that's off the charts. I mean, that's beyond anything I understand. But here's a guy who's a physicist and understands. And we talked about, yeah, metal, our keys. He was talking about your keys is recording everything. You think about your keys, your doorknob, the hinges, everything that's metal is recording. And so if you want to know if there's going to be a testimony about what we say and what we are doing, it's being recorded everywhere. So you think Yahweh, but so here's at a mountain, Mount Ebal, this place, it's a rock. It's not just a rock. It's recovering this idea. I want to take it one other step. Ebal also contains a root word that spells, it's from 2988, which also means a stream or watercourse. And studies done by French scientists and scientist and immunologist Professor Jacques Benveniste, that water as well is able to retain information and has what is termed water memory. Water has memory. Water memory. Go ahead,
I
Sandy.
just had a question because I just looked it up. It said that CDs and DVDs are made of polycarbonate plastic with foil.
Polycarbonate plastic. It's interesting. But aren't they made of a silicate plastic?
Yeah, I have it right here. I just don't want somebody coming back later and saying, hey,
Oh, there's one
it
about
says 99% clear polycarbonate plastic. The reflective layer, protective layer, and screen print comprise the remaining 1% of the disc. So 99% polycarbonate plastic.
Okay, so just to clarify, science has proven that certain types of stone are made of the same types of materials as our CDs and DVDs.
Okay.
So I'm not saying they are made of that but
we do
certain
know
materials.
we do know rocks have memory. We do know metal has memory. So I mean that's something we do know. So
Yeah.
but I didn't want somebody to get stuck on that thing that you said and say, oh.
Well, I appreciate that. Allowed us to clarify.
That the rocks cries out tells you there's more to what we know than we can comprehend, okay?
But also remember, you're living stones. So
True too.
And we are the ones that are to cry out.
Yes. But I mean, the real rock cried out, okay? A hard rock cried out, okay? That yes, we are the living stones too. So, you know.
Retrospective.
Yeah.
Yes, to the left. Where's everybody going?
It's to be on your left.
Round to the left there. So we have this. So
the world is
so now we're, we have this
awesome
idea now. Leaving Egypt, we were redeemed, we were set free, we were taken out of captivity. We crossed the Red Sea of mikvah baptisms. We were reading over there in Hebrews. And but isn't it interesting that where in Hebrews really it's talking about, you've been given a certain amount of insight. How many people have read the Bible from cover to cover, sometimes multiple times, and don't get it?
Yep.
And yet, how many times have we gone through these Torah portions and we've read about the Exodus, we've read about crossing the Red Sea, we've read about coming to the mountain, and going through the wilderness, and coming to this place in Deuteronomy, and ultimately to the River Jordan, where they're ready to cross over and being led not by Moses but by Yahushua, by Joshua, a type and shadow of Yeshua, leading them into the promised land. And yet we're like, wow, this stuff is really good. But do you ever think about the weightiness of
And it is.
that this journey is meant to let it sink in? The second generation, the generation that enters into the promise, the generation that enters into this is carrying they for 40 years in the wilderness. 40 years. Many not there for a complete 40 years because they are born into the wilderness journey. And yet, who crosses over? There's only two that made the entire journey. And yet now the whole weight of all of the disappointments, of all of the tribulations of the wilderness journey was all meant to get them prepared to enter in. And then as we're going to see in an upcoming Torah portion, in spite of all this, and you're going to get into the land and you're still going to give it up. The land's not going to be able to keep you. And which is what? Hebrews chapter 6, what we just read. You got all the insight, you got all the download, you went through the understanding of the laying on of hands and the baptisms and the repentance from dead works, and you got all that information, and yet you didn't take the next step. You had the revelation, but the next step was, did we go into that next? I want to go back over to Hebrews chapter 6 again. and look at that, because I thought that was really interesting how it connected some dots here. It's impossible to renew them again to repentance, since, verse 6, since they again crucify to themselves the Son of Yah and put him to open shame. For ground that drinks the rain, which often falls upon it and brings forth vegetation, useful to those for those whose sake it is also tilled, receives a blessing from Yah. But if it yields thorns and thistles, it is worthless and close to being cursed, and it ends up being burned. How many people, are right? They're walking on the edge. They've even have ground it's producing, but then it's producing thorns. Like, well, look, I got something coming up. There's something bearing out of the soil of my heart. But what is it bearing? Is it something that's going to be burned up? Or is it something that's going to last? And so
You always got to pursue him always.
that takes us to kind of a good point. So talk to me. What are y'all seeing? What are some things that you're seeing? What are you chewing on? What's the Holy Spirit speaking to you about after looking at these things?
Well, to me, this is very meaningful when you come, because me personally, when I decided to come, when he called us, and we made a decision to leave Egypt behind. And he said, I will bless you and I will show you great and mighty things and treasures. And boy, has he. We have found so many treasures. I mean, just going through his word,
Yes.
things that we never knew in our whole life.
Yeah.
And we're still finding treasures.
Yeah.
And it has been a blessing just to do Shabbat the way it is supposed to be done and observed. And it's been an amazing journey for us. It's been a journey.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else?
Well, you also, you have to make the decision to cut things off, and that can even be people. But it's like that heaviness you didn't need, okay? It's that yoke was too heavy. So when you take off things out of your life and people, you get closer with him. So I guess what I'm saying, it's worth it. Well worth it. But is it hard sometimes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clean yourself up. You can't clean yourself up if you've got people around you that are in the world, okay? I mean, really, really in the world, okay? I mean, you have to shake off some of that stuff and leave it behind you.
I think it's even hard for the ones that were raised in Torah.
Sometimes, yes, because they're stiff-necked some.
Look at Israel. John, Sandi, you've been there. It is not what we see in the world.
Yes, that's right.
It is the curses. They did not choose the blessings. And that's not to say all of them. But, oh, sweet Yeshua, please help us to be people that stay in the Word and that
Yes.
live it.
And there's an awakening of some kind going on. This sounds like the church, okay? And don't get me wrong, I learned a lot there, okay? But then I found out the truth when I came to the
It's all
Lord.
part of the wilderness journey.
Yeah.
It sure is. Yeah.
But there's a awakening you go through, but the people over there, there is an awakening now, and the enemy has, no matter what the church is, there's people out there that think they have it right. They love the Lord to their understanding, but the enemy is alive and well, and he's alive and well in Israel. He's alive and well here. And you know, that's why we fight these battles. And the closer you are to him, the more battles, in my opinion, because you know, the enemy doesn't want you to conquer. He wants to kill you. And he's trying to kill people. In fact, he just killed one. Okay. Well, let's, you know, Charlie Kirk, which isn't that his name?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that guy was walking, talking, Bible talking man. Okay.
And
And
Shabbat keeping.
he was taken out in a
servant.
second. Yes. He was Torah. So, yes, he was talking about that on one of his real. And I mean, it affected me because I used to listen to him because he
In a
made some
debate,
sense.
he even said, "Hey, the Torah says."
But he was talking about that. I mean, that just shows you the war we're in, okay? We are in a war here.
Sandy, you were going to say something.
I was just going to reference one of the things, because we are talking about blessings and curses. This was the message last year, because I did Torah portion on this last year, and I believe that's where we went off, started talking about blessing and curses for the next 3 weeks, I believe it was. Do you remember that we were in our building? And,
You know,
but we have to remember that I think that people that call themselves Torah observant, or at least trying to be, I think we're still a people that pick and choose. And as Batya said, because I've heard many Hebrew roots Messianic, however you want to categorize it, say, well, I don't believe this part, or, you know, or that's, anyway, they have an excuse or a reason why they're not going to
Yep.
do that. So it's no different than everybody else. But I think it goes back to what was said at the beginning. If is the big thing here. Sometimes we go through life and we are tested. And those tests are from Yah. And he's doing that to sharpen us, to make us better, to see, you know, to realize what's in us. But oftentimes the battles we face are the battles of our own making, because we didn't do the obedience. He says obedience is better than sacrifice. And so we find ourselves walking in the curses that come upon us, but it's because of our own making. So, and then we've got to remember, we see that in our children and our children's children and our children's children, et cetera, because it goes to the third and fourth, and then they're going to repeat it. So it just is a never ending cycle. But that's why we have to say, choose this day whom you will serve. And we have to literally do that every day. And because every generation, it goes downhill. Let's just be real. And we have to hold the line. And the only way to hold the line is we've got to live it and act it, so that the generations that come will live it and act it, and hold each other accountable. Hold our sons and daughters, and even our grandchildren accountable. If our sons and daughters aren't going to do it, then we need to do it. But even with our grown children, we don't say you must do this now, but we say the word says this, and you are on the wrong path. And that's hard to tell it to your grown children. But shame on us if we don't. It may be uncomfortable. It may even start a rat's nest. But why didn't you tell me?
It's like the Zeke,
Blessing or curse.
the Zeke seats that we wear. Okay. There's a lot of Muslims in our country now. There's the Islam, that theology, and there's a lot of them here. Wearing your Zeke seats. If Charlie Kirk can get killed at a rally because he's talking to some teenagers, do you not think we might get killed wearing Zeke seats? Yes. Am I going to wear my Zeke seats?
Yes.
Yes. That's what it's about. It's like walking through this pit sometimes. Are we going to hold a better standard and say, I'm going to wear these? If you don't like it, I know what my Yah wants. And you know, he takes it serious when we start wearing them. In fact, y'all don't look at me because I left mine on the bed. I do that sometimes. I get involved with it. Anyway, it's like, Are you willing to die for him? Are you willing to wear these Zeke suits? Yes, sir, I sure am.
Well, very good. So much more, but
Digging for diamonds.
digging for diamonds. Yep. Yep. Exactly. And well, very good. Well, it is. Saw something here. Rick Johnson put in here. He says, "I
Talked about blood donation, that powers that be use it for other purposes on a large part of the blood supply that's donated if you go up far enough. Did you go up far enough?
no, I didn't.
And that's what he's talking about. That's where the topic started. And there was a question by Bob about organ donation. So I went on and I was looking about Hebrew thought on organ donation. Now, life is in the blood. I'm not going to do it. Here's the thing. It kept saying that once your body, it's in Jewish thought. Now I'm quoting from different websites. In Jewish thought, it's good to save another life, but you're they say when the body's done and you're dead. But the thing is, organ donation has to be done while you're alive.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're alive.
Does it really?
Oh,
You are
yeah.
No, I
alive.
thought they did it after you died.
No,
No, but your blood
Well, if he
has to
did,
be
then wouldn't it? Never mind.
circulating.
your
Yeah,
blood
sorry, I
has to
didn't
be
think there-
circulating.
Has to be
And
circulating.
so there's,
Paralyze you.
Oh.
and here's the next thing on that is that oftentimes it's been proven now that doctors will, well, first off, y'all can do a miracle and all of that, but also sometimes you're declared brain dead before you're brain dead so that they can have the organs. Now,
Wow.
I'm just going to give you quotes from what was online since the question was brought up. Some rabbi, and again, we're going off, I'm going off the Jewish thought because I didn't have time to research on, and they said some rabbis consider you dead after brain death. Others would say once you're unconscious and not, which is opening up a whole different can of worms where there's no brain activity. But so your thing is, when are you really, then the question comes up, when are you legally dead? Well, not legally. We don't care about legally. What does the Torah say about that? But I know that Yahweh is the author of life and death.
That's right.
And that for me personally, I believe we live in a country and a system that will use us and our parts for their own profit.
Yeah.
But by the same token,
Goes on in
do
other
you want to
countries.
save a life? Yes. So it's a quandary of questions, and we have to think. What were you going to say, Bacha?
Well, I actually have some experience with this, not this husband, but the one before that. He died in an accident. So he's very healthy, died quickly in an accident. We were in Galveston and they took him to the hospital there and they asked me to do organ. And I had to call every rabbi that would talk to me. And they said, yeah, well, he has to be brain dead. And they have tests they did. They take a needle and scratch your eyeball.
Okay.
Oh,
And if there's nothing, then so they have tests that they do. But even then, I was somewhat uncomfortable with it. So I just kind of made this up. This was a Batya thing. I said, I will donate to you what he could donate if he were alive. So I donated one kidney, one something else, And I said, but you can't have everything because I just didn't feel right. Because you're number one, you're mutilating the body.
Oh, and that's another thing that I saw in there is that your body, you don't want to mutilate. So I personally can't give the answer because I don't know. I know my personal thoughts on it.
It was a very hard decision. But then a year later, they had a reunion where I got to go back and meet
Those who got received.
Yeah.
Now see that part's special. That part's wonderful. I think it's when man gets involved in their ways and the nefarious purposes that things get
I
skewed.
did have a funny thing because this was all happening on like Thanksgiving. And so Friday, and then it was going to be Shabbat. And so at the hospital, I said, okay, as long as you can get this done before the sun sets on Friday. They said, oh, we don't know if and so the guy that was in the hospital, the doctor, he said, I'm Jewish, and I'm telling you, it'll be okay. I said, I'm his wife, and I'm telling you, he would come out of that grave and choke me if I let y'all operate on him on Shabbat and it being unnecessary. So we had to go all the way from Galveston to Houston. This is on Friday morning to do an autopsy of all things. Come all the way back to Galveston to do the organ donation, and then I lived maybe 5 miles from the hospital, and I got to my house just as the sun's setting, and here's this beautiful rainbow.
Oh,
Okay, God, I'm okay with this now.
wow.
But it
That's
was
neat.
a hard thing to work through, and
Yeah.
because I didn't know. So I kind of advised a thing where, he could still he could donate one kidney and still be alive, or he could whatever.
You could donate part of a liver and
Liver, I think liver was one,
an eye,
maybe one
eyes.
one eyeball. Yeah. So, but
Yeah, it's just hard. I just don't trust society today.
yeah.
That's my biggest thing is I just don't.
Yeah.
But there again, who are we putting our trust in? Society or Yehovah?
And then you've got your other thing, I'm not using it more could save a life, but then there's life in the blood, and there's so many different ways to look at it.
And see, I was at that same crossroads when I had to have that first transfusion.
Transfusion for me, that's a whole different ball game. I say now I don't want somebody else's blood thrown, but like Joe's dad had to have blood transfusion. Bob's dad, who, had to have blood transfusions. You had 9 blood transfusions. So on the outside, I'm like, but when you're faced with that, it's a whole different road.
Yep. Rick, remember Rick?
Rick, oh yeah.
He had to do it all the time, receive blood.
Yeah, that was hard.
And he said, literally said, there were things that, I don't know if it was in his dreams or there's just things that he dealt with because it was connected to another person that was live. So,
Sure.
Tell you all the part about when I went back to meet people. The guy was a really nice little gentleman. He said, "Can I ask you a really strange question?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Did your husband love beer?" I said, "Yeah, he did." He goes, "I never did before, and now I do." I guess he must have gotten the liver. You better be careful.
That's funny.
There could be some crossover.
yeah.
So it isn't just the heart that thinks.
It's
So
interesting.
life's in blood.
But we're going to wrap it up with that. And can I get someone to close us in prayer? Sandy, would you?
Father, we come before you and we thank you for the feast that you've given us and that you will continue today. For today is about you. And Father, our heart's desire is to burn before you and give you all glory and honor and praise as we gather together in sync with one another, with one heartbeat, of like mind and of like kind. So, Father, we give you glory and honor and praise as we finish this part. We're back to come together again to worship you, to hear of your word, to minister to one another. Father, I thank you for this family far and wide, and I pray that you would meet everyone where they're at, Father, specifically every need, every heart's desire, Father. And as we come together, as we go out our way for it throughout the week, that you would touch their lives and show them that you are the way maker and the miracle worker. And Father, we come before you and we thank you. We thank you for Joe. We thank you. We thank you that for Charlie. We thank you for Joe as we knew as she was part of this family. She was our sister, our friend, our fellow warrior, our partner on shows. Father, she meant so much for this on this earth. And we thank you for that gift for the 58 years we had her. And Father, we thank you that she knows you. And we thank you that her thoughts and her ways were made known. She made it obvious, and that they will reverberate from generation to generation, that she well, all her family shall be saved. All of them shall know you. All of them shall love you and be filled with the Spirit, that their lives are yours. We thank you that Joe is healed, and that, Father, I hope she's with my mom. I hope they talked. And Father, I thank you that she walks in the fullness of that. But Father, also for Dave and for Jessica and for Toby and Emma and Father, Estella and Josie and the whole family, all the children and grandchildren and brothers or sister and brother or brother too, Father, that they won't get caught up in sorrow or be upset at the way she chose to be treated for this. But Father, they would rejoice even in the midst of the sorrow that she was part of their lives, Father, and that you would use this and turn it around for your glory. Father, it's so hard to understand death. Let the fog of death be removed.
That's right.
Father, because there's such a fog after someone you love dies like that. Things seem not normal and you're just going through motions. But Father, I pray that you lead them and guide them along the way.
That's right.
And they walk through the valley of the shadow of death. And that, Father, on the other side of this season, and even in the midst of it, you will turn their mourning into dancing. And Father, we give you all glory and honor. We're excited for what's to come. Thank you for this family. Come, bring us together. Bring all your people together.
That's
In the
right.
mighty name of Yeshua HaMashiach, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Everybody that's with us, if you have a tithe or an offering or a love gift that you'd like to give to this ministry, you can go to, I put up the thing earlier, www.lifeofworshipamarillo.org. We certainly appreciate that because it helps with the needs of this ministry and going forward, and help us save up for having our own location once again. So we will see you all on the other side. We will be back at 3 p.m. Central Time for our encounter service, time of praise, worship, ministry, followed by a second stream immediately following that will have the message. And so until then, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.